Happy New Year. It's 2025, a year brimming with hope, possibilities, and promises, a year where we strive to turn visions into reality. Today, we kick off with the first episode of the new year, 2025, with a topic as bold as it's consequential. Last year, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made a daring promise, a commitment to revolutionize and transform Nigeria's security architecture using drones and robotic solutions. It's a vision that places Nigeria at the cutting edge of technology-driven security apparatus, but it's also one that raises questions of feasibility, execution, and sustainability. So is this the vision a myth, or is it just truly something that can become our reality? Can technology truly be the answer to Nigeria's deeply entrenched security issues, or is this just another political promise that will fade with time? Joining us to dissect this ambitious pledge is a man who knows the field inside and out, Mr. Demola Lawal. Mr. Lawal is a lead consultant at Propel Aerial Services and a seasoned expert in the deployment of drones and robotic solutions to meet human needs. He brings a great wealth of experience and insight into today's discussion, and I can promise that this is something you really want to listen to. You will hear, and it's going to challenge your understanding of what is possible. Yes. Now we're going to ask ourselves that question as we get in. Is technology really going to be the answer to that question we want to ask about security in 2025 and beyond? Mr. Lawal, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year. It's a pleasure to be on your program again.
All right, thank you very much. Let's begin from the basics. Let's start from the basics. Drones have been hailed as the next frontier in security technology. But before we get into the specifics, can you give us, just an overview of what drones and robotic solutions can truly be capable of, particularly in the context of national security?
So when you're talking national security and you're talking drones, robotics, and the likes, right? First, what you want to do is to understand what drones do. So drones can give you total coverage and total air domination over an area, which allows you to be able to completely offer surveillance, and then in turn response services. Drones fly for long. There are some drones that are in the air for 4 hours, 8 hours, and then also not just robotics. There's also AI. So when you come into AI now gives you the analytics from what the drones deliver, because the drones deliver you the imagery. They fly at night, give you, so they can pinpoint anything that's on ground in those forests and all those areas that we've been talking about. And then whilst the AI and the analytics will then allow you to be able to analyze these images and then over time give you the results that you'll be required, either it be road networks, anomalies basically to what you're looking at. That is what you then layer your drone information on. And drones, yes, will deliver us the security that we're looking for. We've already started seeing the results from some of the operations that are ongoing. And I believe that with the production and the manufacture, the localization of all these processes, I believe that it will only get better. And with time, even more states and more areas will be able to deploy drones fairly rapidly,
Okay, that's fascinating that you have said that, but however, people would say the security challenges are deeply complex when it comes to Nigeria, insurgency in the northeast to banditry down there in the northwest and piracy in the south. How realistic really, are we just saying that we are doing well? How realistic are these drones, effectively addressing these multifaceted issues basically on ground today?
I'm sure you heard in the news that there was some drone deployed by our national security forces, and these drones were able to combat some militants that were, or as it were, in some areas. So drones will, totally dominate this space. And like I said, the National Security Advisor's Office as well, and some of these security offices are completely clued on. There are local companies that have been authorized to manufacture. I know that there's some manufacturing going on locally. I know that the Army's capacity has been increased. I know that the National Security Advisor too, and they're not sleeping. This is a forward-thinking government. So, and in a government where you have, it's a proactive government even. So when you have intellectuals, when you have businessmen who understand, the terrain, so it's completely being covered by drones. we as our company, we are already flying somewhere around 240 kilometers on a daily basis. There are several other companies, about 20 of them, who are also flying, very, very long distances on a daily basis. And this is just us from a civilian standpoint. So you can then begin to imagine what the military and all the other security apparatuses are basically engaged in. So if you ask me, last December or this December when we, 2024, you didn't really hear any incidents of kidnappings or, a lot of all the other stuff that you would hear in the past, right? And this is because, yes, there has been some progress that has been made and the progress has begun to tell.
Okay, so having said that, it's good that you are pointing it out in this light, giving us some of those places. We're going to come back to that incident of the drone, but where we get to ethical issues. But I want us to come to the cost. It's not every time, most times Nigerians begin something. Many governments have started many things and would not complete, would not go forward. We're looking at the cost implication of making one drone, advanced drones that can go into combat, advanced drones that can go into proper, reconnaissance, surveillance, and all those kind of processes. The question is, how feasible is it, to adopt it, sustaining it over a large, period, or a long, rather, period of time? What is the feasibility, looking at where the whole budget comes in and where Nigeria is right now?
Security is not something that we compromise. So, and I don't think that the government itself doesn't play with security. So the first thing is, so the funds for security or building drones, there are many companies that are now locally have been approved to manufacture drones or are in partnership with our security agencies to manufacture and deploy drones on the long term, right? And security is not a government issue. It's not a one-time government issue. It's a continuum, all right? So the army is not, or the Navy or the Air Force. These are not agencies that are based on political, agendas. So the continuum, the development is ongoing and is forever. So we raise our capacity, And capacity is being developed in terms of training, in terms of local manufacturing, in terms of even being able to train individuals to create, to some of these more sophisticated payloads, the thermal cameras and stuff that we use. We're assembling them here now. We're able to, bring these parts, put them together, and then locally try and drive down the cost. When we first started, drones were, millions and millions of dollars. But we've been able to get it down into a couple of thousands of dollars, and then we're still, we're going forward. And I believe that as time goes on, as technology improves, it will even drive the cost down even further.
Oh, it's beautiful. You beat me to that because I was looking at partnerships, looking at, government-private partnerships and all those kind of stuff, as to where would be the limits and where would people come in generally to be a part of this whole process. But let's keep that aside and let's come back to what you know best. You're deep down there when it comes to drone piloting and using of drones for even missions of this nature. And the question becomes, what kind of specific kind of drones are we looking at? In Nigeria, if we really want to go full scale, what kind of drones should we be looking at? What do we have now? What do you think we have now? And what do you think we should be looking out for in, say, maybe in a few months, get them and then deploy them?
All right. So I would say, right, what the military has, I can't, comment on that. That is above my pay grade, and it's not something I can discuss on TV.
Definitely.
Yes, but for us on a civilian scale, I would say that we have drones that are doing 4 to 6 hours currently, okay? And 4 to 6 hours will allow you to patrol any state, patrol major highways, and patrol some...
Did you say an entire state?
Yes, you can. You can patrol an entire state in about 6 to 8 hours, depending, because you have major roads and arteries, right? So as over time, as you fly your drones, there's a learning process, which is where AI comes in as well, right? So you are flying in your, if you're flying in an urban populated area, your requirements are different from when you are flying in an area that is less populated, right? Where there's more fauna and vegetation, you understand? So you want to go into those areas with thermal cameras at night. You want to be able to see who is in the bush, right? But when you are flying in more populated areas and you want to, target the arterial roads to make sure that, one thing does not link to another. And if there is an incident, you can target these major roads and So it's diversification. And there are also different types of surveillance that you conduct depending on the type of area that you are flying over. But generally, I would say you would need obviously to have day and night capacity to even conduct any type of operation at all in the first place, if it is to be effective. This is my take on it.
All right. So talking about manufacturing and productions, basically, material-wise, how feasible is it for, individuals to really delve into this part of production and say, hey, we're going to be doing this business. How much capital? I mean, how capital intensive is it? What are the things that might make people be encouraged or discouraged from getting into it? Because you say people are already producing stuff in Nigeria, and then you want to get to the issue of, hey, can it be trusted? Can it not be trusted? Do we have the right materials to make them function properly? I think that would be a question I want you to really tackle.
Okay, so for drone production, right, the first thing I want to say, and I always say, is this. So first and foremost, find out what the regulations are regarding manufacture of drones, right? Because you don't want to be on the wrong side of the law, okay? So after you've, worked out what the regulations are and you are partnered with because there are many government agencies, I believe there are one or two that have announced the commencement of the manufacture of these actual platforms. So, and there are also companies that are licensed to operate drones. So you can manufacture for companies who are already, operating drones, as well as you can manufacture for the state, i.e., the federal government or any of its agencies that are licensed to carry out these drone operations. Some of the drones we have, we basically manufactured them locally. I would say we assembled some of the parts, and some of the parts we 3D printed, okay? Because we can print the parts, we can print airframes. So you would need 3D printers, you would need certain equipment to be able to actually manufacture drones, right? Having, established that you can, produce this equipment, I would say the next step would be go and find out what the regulations are, partner with the government agency, get the right approvals, and then Bob's your uncle. Because, we're a country of 200 million people, and we have 36 states. So you can imagine that there is a lot of uses for drones. Yeah. Drones are not only for surveillance. Drones can be used for, currently there are drones that can carry up to 50, 60 kg. So drones can, deliver bags of cement. They can deliver critical medical supplies. Yes, they can also assist with search and recovery. So there are many aspects. It's not just about surveillance and, heavy duty stuff. You can also, sometimes even in your community, it might be just disinfecting the community, because sometimes when the rainy season starts, right, the drones we use for agriculture, we also use them to disinfect the community. Because some of these open sewers, some of these open waterways, right, and these static water bodies, right, you can then now put these pesticides into it, not for agriculture, but some of the chemical materials compositions that you need to disinfect an entire area. So I would say, drones are not just heavy-duty drones. You can also manufacture drones that can help in your locality.
That's a lot that can be done. In just a few seconds, are you going to say that the government has really been very open to these collaborations, into encouraging people? Has it been really open, or has there been some difficulty? You guys been there.
Well, I've been here for about since 2017 or 2018 now. And I would say for a fact, right, that every step of the way the government has held out. Security agencies have made it known, what their concerns have been, which is you don't want drones that are in the hands of, non-state actors. So you want to make sure that your drones, which is why I would always say, approach the government, approach the right agencies. They will license you and they will allow you to carry out your operations. There are many areas that drones that can be used for, and we definitely need more people in this type of, areas.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we've been discussing President Tinubu's bold promise to revolutionize Nigeria's security using drones. Joining me, as usual, he's been here and he's been giving us very deep insights. This is the second time I'm having him on the program, and he's always very direct when it comes to the use of drones. Mr. Lawal, I'm hoping you're still there with us. Now let's get straight into the other part of it, because I know you've given us the technical angle. You've gone to what is the requirement when it comes to the business side, how these partnerships can work. We said something about the drones that was used recently for a mission, and then that raises a question of the ethical nature of using drones. beyond the ethics of even artificial intelligence being used, beyond the, what the ethical nature, what are the lines that we need to draw so that when we are deploying these drones, we are not going to run afoul of infringing on the rights of the Nigerian people?
Well, I can only speak to what I know, right? Because I mean, like you said, the people higher up, right, have more information than we do. Okay, so and they're not going to authorize any operation if there is not sufficient information. So I know for a fact that there is redundancy in information, i.e., so you're going to get one layer of information, then you're going to verify and fact check that information, then verify and fact check that information before any action is taken at all, right? So if you see anything that is being done, in my opinion, right, I would say there was been maybe at least 3 layers of fact checking. All right. So I mean, I can't really speak to it in the sense that I wasn't there, and I mean, it's above our pay grade. Some of the stuff that our military have to deal with, is stuff that we cannot discuss. But like I said, I know for a fact that there are layers and layers of fact checking. So if there was an incident somewhere, then there will be, because I take, for instance, a company like ours, for instance, right? We're licensed to carry out drone operations. If we fly and we notice something, right, we are duty bound to report that information as it concerns national security. Okay? So once we escalate that information, the information gets passed up the chain, and then whichever agency of government is responsible for the response, right, they will then go out and then respond, okay? So it might be the Army, it might be the Navy, it might be the Air Force, but our duty as licensed operators as well is also supposed to be frontline information for our agencies as well, which is why there's a vetting process before anyone can be approved to operate, manufacture, or even deal with drones in the country. So if you're flying drones somewhere and you're not authorized to, then you basically have to now then define, what your operation is for. So I believe strongly that as a matter of fact, our agencies fact check, and fact check again, and then they run it up the chain of command before any action is taken. So most times, if you see an action taken, trust me, it's been verified.
It's gone. You're saying you're certain that it must have gone through the proper checks.
It definitely must have gone through the proper checks.
All right. Let's shift gears slightly. President Tinubu's promise is ambitious, right? But it's not without precedents. There are lessons Nigeria can learn from, several other countries as regards, successfully deploying drones for various purposes, like you always said, even beyond security. And how do we adopt these lessons to fit our own unique, challenges?
Well, yeah. So I believe strongly. I would commend. So I keep saying every time, right? I commend our security agencies for first stepping into the drone space and making sure that everyone who wants to operate drones legally and basically wants to operate drones legally in Nigeria is allowed to. What you have to do is to come forward, right? And then all your applications, you have vetted your personality, your company, your capacity, all of that is vetted, right? And then there are also training schools that are being, looked into. There's manufacturing that is being looked into. So the entire value chain, once you are operating, you are manufacturing, and you are training, it means you have local capacity. It means you have the capacity to operate, and it means that you have redundancy as well, because you have spare parts. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in the long run, it's an industry that is here to stay.
Yeah, it's beautiful that you've said it's an industry that is here to stay, because I was thinking, how much can we deploy more robots, more drones to go into the field proper and do the work and then reduce the casualty, our soldiers being killed in various places. How soon do you think that can come into Nigeria's system? Of course, you're not speaking from the military point now. You're going to be speaking from somebody who's an expert and looking at the development stages, the growth rates. How soon do you think these things can work?
Yeah, so we are a civilian company, right? So if a civilian company is flying 6 hours, you can imagine what the military is doing. So if we have the authority, if we've been signed off to basically carry out operations and fly, and then we can get authorization to be in the air for about 4 to 6 hours, depending on the type of operations that we're doing, right? You can then begin to imagine what our military has. We have capacity and we have forward-thinking people in these agencies. So, and because, I would compare it to the government of Trump, right? We also have a technocrat as our president. So that means that decisions are proactively made. So where we were before is not where we're going to be. Where we were last year is not where we are this year. December this year was, if you look at the security records, it wasn't as poor as the previous year.
Yeah, December
so it will only get better. Exactly. So, and as this goes on, then you get to the point where you almost have 0 incidents.
All right, just before you go, the last time we were here, I know we spoke about how we could use, drones to fight fires and, stuff like that. Have there been governments and people who are now, using it really, especially for fighting fire? Have you guys really started using all that fully?
Yes, so fortunately, the Federal Fire Service is one that is run by very competent people. So, when we got there for a presentation, they were already ready for us. So it was more of a case of, well, this is technology that we're looking for. The Federal Fire Service has a training school, and their training process is very rigorous, as you can imagine. So, deploying technology was something that they were very open to, and I can successfully say that the process has started, and has gone beyond what we imagined.
All right, so we're getting there gradually then.
Yes, we are.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lawal, for coming on the program today. It was indeed insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, friends. So today we've explored a vision that lies at the intersection of ambition and possibility. Drones are not just machines. They are symbols of how far technology can take us when paired with bold ideas and the will to execute them. But as we've heard from Mr. Lawal, the journey is far from promise to reality, right? It's fraught with challenges, financial, technological, and technical and ethical. For Nigerians to truly harness the power of drones, it will require more than political will. It will demand a national commitment to innovation, accountability, and capacity building. So as we step into this new year, may we as a nation not only dream boldly, but also work tirelessly to make those dreams come to reality. Thank you for joining us on this episode, and I look forward to having you tune in all around the year. It promises to be a reality, a very big one, really riveting, impactful, and we're going to be leaving you right now with our top 5 videos of the week. Until next time, I am Sunes Nathaniel, and this has been The Beam. Stay curious, stay informed, stay engaged, and may Nigeria rise and forever flourish. Happy New Year. In 5th place, we see Bauchi's Governor Bala Mohammed stating that he stands by all he has recently said with regards to the Tinubu-led government, adding that he cannot be threatened by the presidency.
And we believe as a leader of the federation, and all of us are federating entities, they should listen to us, not to be arrogant and showing some elements of impunity that whatever happens, they will go ahead. And I think we must have the courage to humbly
Coming forth on our list is a conversation in which former spokesman of the PDP, Tony Okeke, asserts that President Tinubu is taking Nigeria 100 years backwards. Coming back to Governor Mohammed, in 3rd place, we hear the Bauchi State Governor speaking on the rising cost of living, urging President Tinubu to listen to Nigerians.
So many things stand out, and that's what informed my outburst during the Christmas. He has not shown remorse to the hardship we are going as people, as Nigerians at the subnational level, and he is not ready to be flexible to accommodate our interests.
In 2nd place, President Bola Tinubu re-echoes his commitment to tackling Nigeria's challenges, saying he asked for the job and is equal to the task.
I know people will fight, grumble, abuse me and everything, but I asked for the job. I know what it takes. I believe in myself, and I believe I can gather a very good team and build a nation.
Coming first on our countdown, President Bola Tinubu assures governors that he has no plans to take the local government from their jurisdiction.
We had a disagreement or quarrel and everything when it was local government's autonomy. No. Just drive the development down there to the local government authorities. Nobody wants to take the control away from you. But collaboration.
That's it on our countdown today. Join us next week for more.